Good morning and welcome to SimWorld Today, Monday morning edition, April 7th. We're running solo for you ahead of another big week in college basketball. We're going to talk a little bit of what's the bigger game. Are we surprised by the game of the week being Utah-UCLA? Is Virginia Tech a number one seed? But I wanted to start with a little bitty game. It's hardly a game, but it's a little ranking. And all the focus is certainly going to be on when we come to mock drafts, which ESPN's is coming out this week. What is next up, right? We're going to hear a lot of who should be the number one pick this season. And you got plenty of different camps, some that might think about Cooper King-Cross, Jamison Johnson, Trey Turner, Jalen Snow, I think, is in the mix. But let's take a look next season, where I think we have, it might be a better individual class of current freshmen, soon to be sophomores, than what we currently have as both the sophomore and junior class. I'm not saying next year's draft is better, but I do think that the class itself, the current freshman class, just might be a touch improved over any individual class this season. So let's get right to it. I wanted to go through, looked at the top 5 freshmen, looked at really all freshmen, and wanted to just rank them 1 through 5. And I'll be honest with you, of these 5, I think 4 of them I'm probably taking. Honestly, all 5 I would probably take in the top 7 to 8 right now if I had the option to do it. I think it's that good of a class. So let's start at number 5, and I've got Arthur Lattimore. He's my number 5 freshman. I like what he does for the Texas Longhorns. He's a talented, athletic forward. He can get to every single one of his spots. He's not a guy that is exceptionally easy to stop. His downhill threat is exceptionally good. His 75% free throw shooting makes me think that he's a guy that could eventually transition to a spot-up jumper kind of player. But he plays the 4. He probably fits best in a 5 system. I think he's a less athletic Arthur Lattimore. He's just got all the tools to be, he is Arthur Lattimore, a less athletic Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's got all the tools to be the type of downhill threat that you need at the next level. The only knock is can he stretch his game outside of the paint? Because in the paint, he's awesome. He's athletic enough to be a switch defender across the board. He's going to be aggressive on the glass. He's going to score a bunch of points for you. If he can become a mid-range shooter, I think his ceiling really, really blows up more than that. Right now, I think he's best served next to another front court mate that can shoot the ball, but I think he's going to have a huge ceiling at the next level. He's my 5th best freshman. Number 4, D'Angelo Jordan in Illinois. D'Angelo Jordan is part of a class that I think really ramps up the talent level at the big forward position. Right now, we do not have in this class a ton of forwards that can do a lot with the basketball and be exceptionally big physically, right? I've talked at length about Bam Wallace being the only guy in that 6'7" to 6'9" range that can shoot the ball in this current class. Everyone that can shoot the ball is about 6'5" and below. That's not a death sentence. That's not a bad thing. It's a guard class, and I think next season's class is a forward class, and D'Angelo Jordan is one of them. 6'11", 210. He plays like he's a young Kevin Durant. That's who I've talked about ever since I've seen him in prep, is his ability to shoot the ball. He is a fantastic shooter. I am completely disregarding what I'm seeing this season, and maybe I should be wrong for that. His 33% from the free throw line, 61% from the, other way around, 61% from the free throw line, 33% from deep. I think those are anomalies. I really do. I think he's a really great shooter. He's done a great job of getting into the paint. He's carrying an excessively large workload for this Illinois team. He's the only player on that squad that's averaging more than 10 points per game. He's doing it on high volume. Everyone knows they're going to him, and he has answered the bell. I think he is going to be a fantastic player at the next level. His size makes you the ability to kind of play him across the 3 to the 5. His athleticism allows the same. So I think he's a guy that could be a small ball 5 if you really wanted to get funky and you just had some other big dudes around him. He's going to be a great fit for somebody. I've got him as my 4th best freshman. My 3rd best Justin Bell at Villanova. I think, honestly, the difference between these two, Justin Bell and D'Angelo Jordan, it's small, but there's two things. One, yes, you get a little bit loss of size in Justin Bell from D'Angelo Jordan at 6'7", but Justin Bell has answered the call in terms of being a shooter. 39% this season. His free throw percentage I expect to go up. It's at 68. I think these two guys are very, very similar. The only difference really is that D'Angelo Jordan is more polished going into the paint, right? He's got some really good post moves for a guy that spends a lot of his time on the perimeter. But I think you're going to see a lot of people next season, they're going to debate. This is going to be a debate, Justin Bell or D'Angelo Jordan. That is a huge, huge debate right now from everyone I've spoken to at the SWBA level when they're talking about, okay, yeah, we got this class, and if you need guards, then you're rejoicing because you've got so many guards in this current class, right? Trey Turner, Cooper Kingy-Cross, Jalen Justice, who all should be probably top 5 picks. What if you're a team that needs a forward? You look to next season, you say, okay, we got some options. We got 3 elite options at the forward position, maybe even 4, depending on what you view as Arthur Lattimore. I think some teams are going to view him as an Anthony Davis type 5, and I'm sorry, that's really the comp for Arthur Lattimore to go back. It's not Giannis Antetokounmpo. The athleticism isn't quite there. It's Anthony Davis. That's Arthur Lattimore's ceiling. If you look at Justin Bell, I think his ceiling is one of a Kawhi Leonard, right? It's an elite forward that can play great defense, good jump shooter, can get into the paint. He's not a blow-you-away athlete, but he's certainly not a bad one. But he's intelligent, he's quick. He fits the bill as this rangy 3-4 wing. I think you're going to see a lot of teams debating in the number 2 spot, because I think we all know who's going number 1, and we'll get to it. But I think you're going to see a lot of teams debating between Justin Bell and D'Angelo Jordan next season, which brings me to my number 2, and it's Naz Hall. Naz Hall, SimWorld Player of the Week again last week. The Big 12 Player of the Week again last week. Naz Hall has been on an absolute tear. Another 30-point game. He has been, I talked at length, I think 2 weeks ago on the pod. He has been the difference between Kansas at the beginning of the season and Kansas now. He's averaging 17.4 points per game. Those numbers are way up there. He's shooting 38% from the field, or from deep, 51% from the field, and 88% from the free throw line. He's a great playmaker. He can create for himself with the ball. His 3.5 assists. He's aggressive on the glass. And oh, by the way, he's 6'6". I mean, Naz Hall is not this, hey, let's throw a point guard out there and see what happens. Naz Hall is a legitimate wing defender and creator. I think his ceiling is a better version of Devin Booker. I think he's a potential 2-way defensive guy in the vein of Dwayne Wade. He's an elite scorer in the way of Kobe Bryant. I mean, he has been absolutely fantastic. And we want to go, well, this guy's averaging more points. Naz Hall's a freshman, folks. Cooper Kingy-Cross should average more points than him. Cooper Kingy-Cross, Trey Turner, Jalen Justice should look better than Naz Hall right now, because all of them are, spoiler alert, sophomore juniors. They've been in college basketball for a step longer. Naz Hall is coming out as a freshman and has been absolutely incredible for this Kansas team. He's the reason I turn on Kansas. He's the reason. It's not Madison Miles who's going to be a first-round pick, and who, by the way, has been awesome in his sophomore year as well. 17-8. Naz Hall is a legitimate. He's a future star. I think he's all SWBA ceiling, and he's why he's risen to be the number 2 guy in my freshman top 5. And then number 1, Cooper Flagg. No surprise there. Cooper Flagg's my number 1 freshman. He does everything that you'd expect him to do. He's fantastic. He can score. I mean, I don't think I'm barking up no one's tree here. Cooper Flagg is the best freshman. So my top 5: Arthur Lattimore, D'Angelo Jordan, Justin Bell, Naz Hall, and Cooper Flagg. All right, number 1 seeds. I think there's some question marks. I came on. I spoke a little maybe too confidently that the top 25 and specifically the top seeds in college basketball were decided a couple weeks ago. Villanova, Alabama, Texas, and I think it was Duke at the time. I said those are the top 5. Those are the top 4, excuse me. There's no one else getting into that fray. I think that there's a real case for Virginia Tech. I talked about this on my podcast last week. Virginia Tech has been one of the best teams in college basketball all season. They're now starting to win games. They just absolutely destroyed Georgia Tech, who's had their struggles on the road to cap off last week. Virginia Tech, I think, is a number 1 seed, but the problem is I think we have 6 number 1 seeds, and the way Kansas has been playing as of late, maybe 7. We have 6.5 teams that are number 1 seeds. Villanova, Alabama, Texas, Kentucky, Duke, and Virginia Tech. So this is going to be a bit of a cop-out. I think they should be a number 1 seed. It's going to be very interesting to see how the committee views them. If they can string things together, and I think the way Virginia Tech becomes a number 1 seed is they win the ACC. Because if they win the ACC, that means that they had to go through Duke in all likelihood. Not in all likelihood. Depending on tonight, Louisville plays tonight. But you're going through either another matchup with Louisville or a matchup with Duke. And if you're Virginia Tech, I think those are huge, especially Duke, because people are going to look at that as a head-to-head. I really think there's a pathway for Virginia Tech. Their closing games right now are Virginia, Georgia Tech, and Miami. That Georgia Tech game is big. I think if they beat Georgia Tech and they win out, right, they're going to go into the ACC title game with 7 straight wins, and they're going to stare down either a matchup with Duke again, a matchup with Louisville, or maybe a matchup with Miami. Miami and Louisville play tonight. You win that game, especially if it's Duke or Louisville, you're a number 1 seed. That is resume topping. Because the rest of that top 25, Texas, Alabama, Kentucky and Alabama are probably gonna cannibalize one another, right? So one of those two teams, unless Arkansas makes a run here, one of those, and if Arkansas does, then it takes, I think, one of those two teams out of it, right? One of those two teams is going to be not a number 1 seed, and then, of course, if you beat Duke, that makes the jump up. And heck, there's a chance between Kansas and Texas. I think Texas is still going to end up as the number 1 seed, but if Kansas wins, that's another win over Texas. They beat them already, and I think Kansas could slide in there as number 1. That just means the top 2 teams, top 2 seeds in Hoop State area, they're going to be tough to beat. They're going to be tough to beat, and I think we've got a real chance at seeing those squads make a deep run to the Elite Eight. All right, final little topic, and that is the game of the week. And what game is bigger as we stare down a very impactful week in college basketball? We've got the game of the week, which is Utah and UCLA. We've got another game of the week, which is Alabama and Arkansas. And I was a little surprised that Utah and UCLA was deemed the game of the week coming up, because there's some big ones, and I think the other one is, of course, Alabama-Arkansas. And I think that's the bigger game. I really do. I think Alabama versus Arkansas is the bigger game, because that is essentially going to decide the SEC. And you can look and say, okay, well, yeah, UCLA, Utah will. You winner of that. If UCLA wins, they lock up the Pac-12. If Utah wins, then Cal's got a shot to slide in there. You got 3 teams with a 4 loss. Cal's just got to right the ship and get in. But I'm sorry, UCLA is number 13. Utah, number 23. And the SEC has a number 2 versus number 10 matchup. And in my opinion, that the 2 versus 10 trumps. I think they're both huge because of what carries it. But in my opinion, I just think it's Alabama versus Arkansas. And call me a big market, big conference bias, right? I think you could say that. That's fair because that's probably the decider here, right? But it's also good team bias. Alabama's lost 3 times all season. Okay, they just beat Kentucky. Arkansas has lost 8 times all season. Those 2 teams combined have lost as many games as Utah has lost all season, right? 1 more loss than UCLA has had all season. So I'm not looking at this and saying, okay, UCLA, Utah. Well, Alabama, Arkansas, it's got better players. Dwan Epps, Quincy Henderson, DJ Wagner, DJ Childs. It's just a better matchup in the SEC because it's the best conference. Yeah, maybe that's a little bit of big city bias, big market bias, big conference bias. That's okay. I'll take that L. But SEC's got the bigger game. But that doesn't mean that UCLA, Utah isn't huge. I just would have picked that one. But I think that underscores you trying to find games of the week, man. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them coming at you this week. Kentucky, Auburn. Don't sleep on Auburn. Auburn's sitting there at 6-4. If they beat Kentucky and Arkansas loses to Alabama, Auburn will be tied with Kentucky and Arkansas at 7-4 in the SEC and a shot to get in. That's a potential game of the week. UNLV's got to win. St. Mary's, San Diego State. How about that in the Mountain West, right? Both of those teams, San Diego State 7-4, St. Mary's 6-5. That's a chance for number 2. What does this mean? It means that every single game is getting big, and the outcomes of these are going to be exciting to keep an eye on. All right, that is our show. We're back tomorrow morning. We got Rico joining SimWorld today. We're going to talk a little SWBA, a little bit of draft intel, what's going on, and who does he see as potential picks and top picks in the upcoming draft. Appreciate you tuning in here on SimWorld TV, the only place you can see the game, be the game.
Peace.